Hi guys, so today we're going to do a lockdown video because we're all locked down again. So we did a simple one before, go back and check it out because it's a good video, it's way better than just using bands and all that nonsense. But what we'll do is today I'm going to give you a bit of a full body because I know a lot of people are wanting to train as close to proper as you'd call it at home as when they go to the gym. So today we're going to do it with some dumbbells, a simple bench, 2 dumbbells, that's it. We will do another one in a couple of weeks with a barbell, slightly different, but pretty much exactly the same because it's so versatile, you can do everything with these 2 things. If you don't have a bench, you can use a chair or something like that for a lot of the movements. Just ensure that it's very stable. The last thing we want is people having accidents at home. So we'll run you through these movements. I'll talk a little bit about cadence and things like that because I know a lot of people that may have dumbbells, they may not be anywhere near heavy enough if you're a regular goer to the gym and things like that. So I'll just show you ways and means of intensifying it because the weight's a little bit too light. So we'll crack on and let's see how it goes. Okay guys, so the first movement we're going to do is just a simple dumbbell chest press. George is going to come in, perform it, and I'll talk about the cadence of the repetitions and things here just to ensure you know what you're doing exactly. Okay George, so remember, keep the dumbbells directly above yourself, wrist straight, controlling down, pushing the elbows away from yourself, keeping the shoulders down. Let it sit a second, then squeeze through the chest to come back up. So nice and slow going down. Let it stop and squeeze through the chest. Just keep them slightly apart at top so they don't touch. Slowly, keep that tension on. Control and drive. Now just to show you with George here now, just for this, you can do this on all the movements we show you. He's going to do a slower cadence here in case the dumbbells are nowhere near heavy enough for you at home. Okay, so what you want to do then is, we're going to come down with a cadence of 5, okay? So he's going to lower in 5. So you ready, George? Go. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, then squeeze up through the chest. Squeeze at the top for a second, and then we go in again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and squeeze. So it's as simple as that. George could tell you that massively intensifies it. You're going to get so much more out of that than doing 100 reps at 100 miles an hour. Okay, so first exercise done, chest press. Okay guys, next exercise we're going to do is for back. So we're going to do a dumbbell row, but this time we're going to do it over the bench. So as you can see here, the bench is on a bit of an incline. A lot of people go sort of up 45 degrees and more. I wouldn't do that. You want to be in a kind of a similar position as you would be when you bent over doing a barbell type row. So you can sort of adjust till you feel it in a better position. I tend to sort of think anywhere between about 30-40 degrees is a good place to be. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a seat and then you're going to lay your body over the bench. So George is going to come in and just show you this movement now. And remember, if the dumbbells are too light, slow that cadence down. You can even slow the cadence down on the positive. You can make the hold contraction longer at the top. You can make the pause longer at the stretch, as long as you're keeping the body position where it should be. So again, we're not risking a chance of injury by straining, by pulling out of position at any point. Okay, George? Okay, so main thing here is George is flat against the bench, then he's arching his back as much as he can, but still staying on the bench. His head is straight, he don't want to be pushing it back too much, but certainly don't want to tuck his chin, because that'll round his back over. And then by keeping his elbows by his sides so they're not flaring out, he's going to drive the elbows down as hard as possible. He's going to contract the back, and then he's slowly going to lower down, keeping everything the same. Remember, the negative should be under control to stress the muscles as much as we can and performing it exactly like we would through the positive, so we've got maximum stress on there. So holding, controlling down. So keeping that arch, don't push your head back too much. Wrist straight, elbows by your sides, and drive them down as hard as you can, and then think driving them down even on the way back. So we're squeezing up, we're contracting, and slowly going down. And again, that's back, simple as that. Okay guys, we're going to do dumbbell shoulder press next, but we're going to do it stood. George has got no injuries at all, so it's a really good thing to do because it involves your core and everything a little bit more because he's stood up. Again, any injuries, take a seat. If you've got a bench, great, put the back up. It doesn't need to be vertical, very slightly back, so again, you're not straining anything. If not, if you've got to sit down and do it with no back support, just make sure your back's nice and straight, your feet are planted, and don't go too heavy on the movement. You know, maybe go with a slightly lighter dumbbell and slow the cadence down so the stress is where we want it to be. But for today, we're going to show you it stood up just to involve a few more things. Ready to go, Georgie? Okay, so the dumbbells want to be going straight up. A lot of the time they'll naturally go forward. So keep the elbows again pushed away from yourself. They don't want to be going forward. We're trying to involve the whole shoulder complex, not just the front delt. And then what George is going to do, keeping his wrist straight, is just going to smoothly drive up. And then he's going to slowly come down, doing it exactly the same as on the way up, keeping his back nice and straight, feet planted, and he's going to drive up. Okay? He's going to take a breath in as he's coming down, deep breath. Hold it at the bottom, and then as he's driving up, he'll release that breath. So squeeze, perfect. So that's how it wants to be performed. Full range of motion, not too heavy that you can't come all the way down. We're trying to involve the whole delt complex. If you have any injuries, again, I'll repeat it one more time. Obviously use the range of motion that is safe for you, okay? And again, ensure it's going straight up and not forward. Okay, next exercise, we're going to do a 45-degree seated dumbbell curl, one of Mr. Schwarzenegger's favourites, so lots of people like this movement. So, couple of things with this exercise, as we'll show you with George. Once you sat down, you need to lay yourself back nice and comfortably. The arms should be stretched down by your sides. And again, as I've said before on previous videos with biceps, the elbows should not be moving forward at all, because that's the front delt taking over, missing the contraction in the bicep. I'm going to also talk, when George is just doing a few reps, about the supination of the wrist, because most people will sit and supinate like that. Absolutely fantastic, works the brachialis and everything a little bit more, along with the bicep in full and forearm. However, I would prefer you to keep the dumbbell in the position as if you're holding a barbell. The reason being for that, it's keeping much more stress over the entire bicep, and you can focus a little bit better on that. A last point here to intensify this movement, do it 2 arms at a time, because you'll be able to focus a little bit better initially. As it gets very, very tough, if you want to carry the set on a bit more, then change to single arm, and you'll be able to squeeze out a few more repetitions to push the set that little bit further. Okay, so we'll show you the movement now. Okay, George, so laid back comfortable, okay, arms just hanging by your side, okay, they don't want to be tensed and held, okay, so what he's going to do here now is he's just going to curl up with no elbow movement or body movement at all. He's going to squeeze a second and go down exactly the same. If you see, the elbows are not moving, the wrists are straight, so maximum stress is on the bicep, and the main focus here, without hurting your wrists or anything, focus on the little finger going to the outer shoulder all the time. So maximum stress is on the biceps. So smooth curling up, peak contract squeeze at the top, and nice and slowly going right back down to a full straight arm. Pause at the bottom, and then squeeze. And again, anything wrong with any bicep tendons or anything, but you're still training biceps, you can always stop a little bit short at the bottom if you feel it straining on that full stretch. And that's it, simple as that. Okay, next exercise for beastie triceps. We're going to do a lying dumbbell extension. We're just going to show you how to perform this correctly. It's a fantastic exercise, it really, really is. You'll feel it. It shouldn't stress your elbows too much, as long as you're performing the movement correctly. Again, don't go too heavy. Form is everything. And just focus on controlling, particularly on the negative. The dumbbells are quite close to your face near the bottom, so obviously be very, very careful when you're performing it. Okay, George, let's do it. Okay, so you want to be laid very flat on the bench. The wrists, as always, should be straight. The dumbbells never touch, because if you're pushing them against each other, it's a weaker side pushing against the stronger side all the time to help. And it's also trying to take the stress off the actual muscle we're trying to work. Now, most people will stay here. What you want to do is keep them directly above you and then just move them slightly back. Not so much that you're hurting the deltoids at all, but so you can feel a bit more tension on the triceps. Then the elbows should be tucked in, and they should not move forward or back or out to the side. So we're slowly going down, controlling, and we want to go all the way down, right till it stops naturally, and then keeping the elbows where they are. We'll want to sit forward, keep them where they are, keep them in, and drive up and flex the triceps hard at the top. We can flex them because he's slightly back, so there's a contraction point at the top. Then we're slowly going to lower down. We're going to pause at the bottom and then flexing through those triceps, exactly the same on the way up, okay? So it's as simple as that. Tremendous amounts of stress on the triceps from this movement, and you will feel it working really, really well. Again, a nice controlled cadence all the time, and think where those elbows need to be. In and back, drive up, flex the triceps hard, and it's as simple as that. Okay, we're going to do a lying leg curl with a dumbbell. You may have seen this exercise before. We're just going to do it on a flat bench. You can change the angles and things if you feel it a little bit more on the hamstrings. That's entirely up to you. These little tweaks you can make, but obviously we're trying to keep it as simple as possible for home. And the main thing is that the movements perform correctly, so we're targeting the muscle correctly, and you're getting that mind-muscle connection, which is super important. Don't let people tell you it's not, because it makes a massive difference. When you've been training a long time, you can put blood in your biceps with the lightest dumbbell in the world just thinking about it. So we'll get on with this leg curl. Again, don't go too heavy, nice and controlled. Again, this 100-mile-an-hour thing is not going to do anything for you at all, apart from probably hurt your joints over time. So we'll get on with this leg curl and focus on the quality of the repetitions, okay? Okay, so George has got the dumbbell between his feet. He's just nicely tight, holding it flat between his feet. His legs are straight at the bottom, or you can just stop just short of them going straight if you're worried about the dumbbell dropping out. What you're going to do is you're going to push your quads into the bench, you're going to squeeze up, flex the hamstrings, and then slowly go down, trying to keep your feet as straight as you can holding the dumbbell. Okay, we're controlling down. He's really pushing into that bench. All the stress is here on the hamstrings. He's driving up, keeping his breathing going. He's flexing hard, far as he can possibly pull without changing his position, and slowly going down. And he's keeping the hips down the best he can, so there's as much stress on the hamstrings rather than the glutes, because they're going to be working hard enough as long as he's getting all the way to the top. Then slowly going down, maximum stretch, pause at the bottom, and then up for a full contraction. And again, simple as that for the hamstrings. Done. Okay, we're going to do a dumbbell deadlift next. We're going to do it so you're keeping a lot of stress through the back, through the glutes, and on the hamstrings. We are going to do a video of a stiff-legged deadlift performed in probably a different manner than you've seen. The back position's very different, but it's super tough on the hamstrings. It's not dangerous to the back either, as long as you're performing it correctly. So I want to do a complete video on that. But this movement it's pretty overall. It's a bit like just a normal barbell deadlift. The only difference is we're not going to go down too low, because we want to keep stress on the muscles. And again, we're not going to be going quite as heavy probably if you're at home. So again, we're just trying to stress the muscles without any risk of injury. Okay, so George is going to come in. We're going to perform the deadlift. Okay, so picking him up nice and controlled. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to keep the dumbbells in front of you, pretty much touching you at all times. His head's going to be nice and straight, not straining his neck. The back is going to be arched and nice and flat, and he's going to obviously use the legs as well by bending the legs. So he's slowly going to go down. And what I want you to do is go to the position that any lower, you're going to lose the arch in the back. That's not what we want. We want to keep that flat back. As soon as that's happened, he's going to come up exactly through the same arc. So real control going down, keeping that arch. There, if he goes a bit lower, he's going to round over. So he's going to pause, then he's going to squeeze up, keeping the dumbbells close. When you come up, I just want you to come up to a nice straight back. Leaning back is what causes most people's injuries at the top, because the leaning back here and the stress is off the muscles and completely on the spine. This is great for all the backside of the body, the hamstrings, the glutes, traps, everything. So a great overall exercise to throw into the routine. Okay guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to do a dumbbell squat. Now George has not done this before, so if his form doesn't look 1000%, apologies for that, but we're going to do the best we can here. And I'll explain through the movement. One point here, if you can at home, if you have a couple of little plates, if not, a couple of, as long as they're very sturdy of course, a couple of books or anything like that that are the same height, probably a little less than an inch or that at the most. And you put your heels on there, the full heel on there. The reason for that is a lot of people when they squat, they lean forward and it goes onto the back. By having that little plate under there or something under your feet, you're able to stay much more upright, which is putting a lot more onto the quadriceps when we're doing the squat. If you can squat absolutely perfectly, you can probably do it without, which is fine. But for a lot of people, if they're a bit unsturdy and things, or they're kind of moving forward a hell of a lot, those little plates will make a world of difference, okay? So we're going to bring George in for this dumbbell squat. Nice, be careful picking them up. Okay, so his full heel is on the plate. We're going to keep his back as straight as we can. The arms want to be totally straight down by your sides. He's going to keep looking either forward or just slightly up, only a little bit, okay? Because you want to be concentrating on something around eye level or just above, okay? He's going to smoothly go down. So his butt's pushing back a little bit there. He's going to sit and he's going to squeeze up, okay? So he's not used to this. So don't worry if it doesn't look 100%. So he's going through his heels, his knees are pushed out over his feet, and he's coming back up. Okay, so nice and controlled. He's going to sit and he's going to come back up, and that will do it. Now, if you're used to squatting and you're more used to this, you're probably going to be able to go a little bit deeper than George we're getting there. But again, structurally, go by what's best for you. Some people can go right down to the bottom, which I prefer, but some people about 90 degrees or so. So go as low as you can, but again, safely without your body position changing too much, okay? And try those little plates out because they will make a big difference. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to finish, we're going to do a seated calf raise. I used to do this in my mum and dad's garage when I was preparing for shows when I didn't go to a gym, so you might not have seen this one before. So again, you just need something to sit on comfortably. You don't need a back support or anything. Again, just make sure it's sturdy, no injuries please. And then what you're going to do is, you just need some sort of block. Again, something that doesn't move around, so a piece of wood, a couple of thick books, whatever you've got that you can use basically. If you've got something like a step, brilliant, but just something that you can use so when you get a stretch in the calf, your heel's not on the floor, or if it touches the floor when you're at maximum stretch, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so we're just going to show you this. We've shown you the standing type calves before that you can do at home on the other videos, so just an alternative to do, because you will feel this one, it's a good movement. Okay, so seated calf raise. You can put something like wrap these in a little towel or something if it's hurting your legs. If you're a bit of a girl. Wrong thing to say, because I'll get a load of stick for that, because girls are probably tougher than guys. But just if you're feeling it, wrap it in something, that's fine. Okay, what you want to do is you want to sit back enough so your legs are kind of just going straight down or very slightly back. You don't want the leg stupidly back, but it also doesn't want to be forward in front of you. So you want to feel the stretch in the calf as soon as you put it on. So you just want the full ball of the foot on, and that's it as always. And simple, not moving around, back nice and straight. All you can do is you're going to squeeze up as high as you possibly can, and then slowly going down, pushing on the ankle at the bottom to get maximum stretch comfortably though, okay, and then squeezing through again. So remember the ball between the feet technique, so you're squeezing the feet together all the time, and then focus on what the calf's doing. Flex up. When you think you're there, squeeze for another second, nice and slowly coming down till you get absolute maximum stretch. Hang there a second and squeeze back through. Remember, if things are too light, do the 5-second cadence. Again, take 2 or 3 coming up, nice hold, nice stretch, and the cadence can even be down to 10 seconds on the way down of a count of 10 in your head if need be. Again, it's a lot more stress on the muscle than doing it super fast for lots and lots of repetitions. And that's it, simple seated calf. Okay, we're going to do a dumbbell shrug now for the traps. you've pretty much, every body part's been worked with at least one movement then thoroughly. So we'll just show you how to perform these correctly, because again, it's a movement that's done wrong a lot of the time. So George is going to come in, we'll do a few reps, and then you can go away with it. You can do this movement seated. Some people are more comfortable. I'm not a big lover of it myself. Sometimes I think it can cause more injury of the way the weight's pulling you down and your spine's sort of getting compressed a lot when you're seated. But again, it's up to you. Do what's most comfortable for you. The main thing is how the movement is performed. Okay, so we'll do a dumbbell shrug. Okay, so George is standing perfectly straight. The dumbbells are down by his sides, he's not bending the arms at all, and he's going directly up, trying to touch his shoulders to his ears. An impossibility, but that's what you kind of want to focus on, is that height, but doing it through the traps. Don't just think of going up and down. Think of the traps as high as you possibly can, squeezing for a second or two, still trying to get higher, and then slowly come down and let the shoulders come fully down without hurting your back, keeping it straight, and then squeezing back up. We don't want to go forward, we don't want to go backwards, we just want to go straight up and straight down. That is working the traps entirely, okay? None of this moving around business and rolling around, so dangerous and stupid. Just literally straight up, straight down. Good hold at the top, but whenever I say a hold, make sure you're squeezing against it, trying to get higher, or flexing against it, and then slowly coming down and letting it pause at the bottom at absolute maximum stretch, but the back stays perfectly straight. And that's traps.